Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the Know Your Gear podcast, episode 317. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you guys had a great week, as always. If you're joining me live, as always, I just want to point out if you see somebody with a blue name and our blue wrench, that means our moderator. They can help you with certain things. They can also post links, so keep in mind that's something important. Sometimes when I'm talking, a lot of the times they'll put links or little descriptions or things they're helping me with what I'm doing. So I want to just thank them for that. And then, of course, if you see somebody with a green name, that means they're a channel member. And channel members are just a way to fund it like patrons. So we have patrons and channel members that fund these live shows and have all 317 episodes have been funded that way. Something interesting that's cool to note is that because, as the channel evolves, that's what happens on YouTube as you evolve. We've been taking on more like sponsorships, like I did Skillshare, and I haven't done, I don't know if I have any plans to do like the VPNs and all the other, like the real YouTube channels where you go there and they're always like, the sponsor is today. I'm trying not to do those, but also sometimes what's great about that is like when I can have a non-musical instrument company sponsor a show, and then, we can buy the gear and not have to worrying about, if a company sent it. But my point is, what I'm saying is, because we are doing that, I always timestamp that stuff so you guys know. If you notice on Skillshare and all that stuff, I always that's a requirement for me taking the gig with them, is that they are timestamped, which means you can skip it. You can see, and if you guys don't know that, just pay attention on my videos. If you see any time where I'm doing the little spiel like, hey, Skillshare or VPNs or whatever, you can jump that. It tells you right on whether you're on your phone or at your home on your TV, you can jump the commercial, skip it. So I always put that as an option. If you want to consider supporting them because they're supporting the channel, I appreciate that. But I understand also, I'm not here to hold you down and listen to the spiel. But also, I also want to point out that if you become a Patreon member or Patreon on the Patreon side, doesn't matter, or if you become a channel member on YouTube, we give the same videos to you before we release them, and they are removed. All the ads, any of the sponsorships, all that stuff's removed. There's no ads, so you get to see the ad free if that's something that matters to you. I just thought that'd be cool. And then we do channel updates and other cool stuff. And then you get to know that you're supporting this channel. I guess I don't know. I'm just talking about that. So, but also I like I said, I always take the time to thank the people that support it that way. But I always want to thank the people that show up every week and hang out in the live hang. People who watch this every broadcast. I mean, just thank you all. Thank you for those like buttons. Thank you for those subscription buttons. Thank you for the downvote buttons. Thank you for any interaction. Any interaction you give. The beautiful thing about YouTube is that it doesn't care if you're negative to me or positive to me. They both have the same effect. They share what I do. I'm laughing just because it's kind of the sickest irony when people ask me about trolls. What do you think of trolls? And I go, I know, like anybody, I don't like hearing it, but they are promoting the channel. It's weird that YouTube is constructed in such a way that if you hate something, they're going to spread it to people you know. All right. Anyways, that's too much YouTube talk. Let's get to guitar talk. Let's talk about guitar stuff. So let's get into it. So as you guys may know, I always grab some early questions for those super geeky, super dedicated people who come a little early and drop a question. I appreciate that. In no particular order do I grab these. Anything I find interesting, I grab. This first one came from Joe, and it was a great question because I had the question for myself, and I was wrestling with it as well, and I picked the wrong choice. So I'll tell him what choice I did and why I think I did the wrong choice. So his question is, hey, Phil, is there any reason not to pay the extra $100 for the EVH Iconic 40 watt amp versus the new 15 watt amp? So am I missing something? So if you tried the EVH Iconic amps, they're really, really good. I'm really impressed with them. I got to play a couple finally. And unfortunately, I won't be doing any reviews. I didn't buy one, so I don't have one for the channel to review. But what's interesting is the Iconic 40 obviously is 40 watts through a 12-inch speaker. The 15 is 15 watts through a 10-inch speaker. And then I believe there is another feature that's missing on the 15. Some of you guys can look that up if you want to check to see what's features missing. There's like one or two little features that are gone that I noticed. Sound-wise, I don't know what the big difference in the sound would be. Obviously, I would expect that the wattage is a smallest factor of the tone difference. The biggest difference is going to be that 10-inch versus 12-inch speaker. Me personally, I'd pay the extra $100 and get the 40 watt. Unless of course it's how heavy it is a concern for you. But even then, if you wanted to, you could probably get the 40 watt and put a neodymium creamback speaker in that one and probably ditch, 5 pounds, 4 pounds, maybe 4 pounds of that weight, and maybe get it more in line with the 15. That's the one I would pick. When I said I did the wrong thing, I played the 40 and then I played the 15. And I remember thinking, man, I really like these. Oh my God, I hate talking about this stuff. Okay, so I really liked them. And I thought, oh, you know what? This is something I need in my life. This could be a nice little practice combo to have, somewhere in the house. And I go, man, I wish it was a head, because if it was a head, it's easier for me to put on my racks and just, when I'm not using it, store it. And I have a bunch of speaker cabinets. I go, man, I wish they would have made a head. And I go, I wonder if I could buy one and turn it into a head. And then I go, you know what? I mean, really, how different is it? I had a long time ago the PV6505 mini head. It's really the same. They're really just copying the PV. So I bought a PV6505 mini head. It showed up this week, and I played it for 5 minutes and maybe 10 minutes, to be honest with you. And let's just say the Iconic I thought was better. I don't know why. I feel like the 6505 mini has a little fuzz, too much fizz in it. So I wish I would have bought the Iconic. I'm not going to return the 6505 mini. I'm going to keep it. When I say keep it, it's in its box. It's got all 10, 15 minutes of playtime on it. It's the new one with I think the cooler looking graphic, in my opinion. And I'll trade it off or sell it off. It's not a bad amplifier. I don't want you to think that, but I just like when I was playing it going, yeah, I think the Iconic was a little nicer, a little less fizzy, and maybe so. So to answer your question, Joe, I had the same question. Why would I want the 40 over the 15 or vice versa? But the big thing for me would be the speaker. And obviously, I was thinking the 15 would be great if I ran it through a 12. And that's why I was trying to kind of cheat the system and get the 6505 mini. So, but Patrick says the 6505 combo is awesome. I think the 6505 is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say I got the amp and didn't like it. I got the amp and didn't like it as much as the Iconic. And obviously that's what I was after. I was thinking, they're got to be really close. And I didn't even AB them, by the way, just playing the 6505 mini, playing it going, that's really good. But I think the Iconic had a little bit more. I like the distortions a little bit more throaty and less fizzy. I like the, just a little bit more AC/DC and less, I don't know, early Metallica, I guess, is how I kind of look at that. So so that's the kind of thought there. So, and I did put a tube screamer in front of it. For those 6505 head fans, they're gonna say, "Well, you did. You got to do the trick. You got to put the tube screamer." It did. It improved it. It tightened it up. Tightened up the low end. It did everything that people said it does. So, but yeah, like I said, really cool. All right, that's my thoughts on that. The Iconic is great. It's my takeaway on that. And Mike, what does Mike says? Mike says, hey, do you have any advice to start a business, even if it's small, simple Etsy store? First thing I can tell you is I can't, unfortunately, give you any advice to be like successful and rich, because I've not achieved any of those things. So I've said this many times in the past when this question comes up about, whether you're trying to open a music store or start a YouTube channel or, build a guitar bass company, 'cause more of a bass company than a guitar company. But whatever your endeavor is, this is what I can tell you this is the only information I have. Okay. I have figured out a way to be successfully self-employed for 17, 18 years now. Okay. So for 17, 18 years, I don't know. It could be 18. As you get older, you try to like, oh, it can't be that long. I have not been paid by anyone but myself. Right. So I've been self-employed. I've been my own business this whole time. And that independence, what I can tell you is what I've found are the pitfalls. So I'm not going to give you some advice. I'm going to tell you the pitfalls that I made that I really regret and that I can tell you can really help you a lot. The first pitfall that I ever had that it took me a while to shake and figure out was don't villainize, hate, uh, you know, don't, those are two good words. Just don't despise people who are more successful than you. That was a mistake I made early on. I would look at people who do what I do is more successful than me as cheaters, liars, lucky. I would have come up with 10 reasons, probably 1,000 reasons, to be honest with you, in my head of why they were not worthy or horrible. And somehow, because I felt I was more ethical, or I felt like I was more, honest or sincere, or maybe more nice. I was nicer than them, whatever it was. I would just come up with all these reasons why that their success is somehow wrong, and I should have that success. And I truly did not improve and grow until one day I woke up and said, okay, instead of hating them for whatever reason, I'm going to look at them and go, why are they beating me? Why are they more successful than me? And if it is because they are cheats, or they're horrible people, or whatever, or they're lucky, or they were given things, if that's the attributes, well then fine. That at least I'll know. I just didn't want, I just felt that it's so easy to get into the trap. In my mind, it was so easy to get in the trap of that's what it is, and there's all kinds of things like that store is more successful because it's been here so long, it has cheaper rent. This store is more successful, or this business is more successful because, they inherited it from their parents. This business is more successful because they screw everyone over. And what I found was I didn't realize what was happening to me, which is I was getting nowhere except for sitting there with my own excuses. And it wasn't until, it's happened to me on YouTube. I've had channels on YouTube that I was like, and I had no reason to feel this way, but I'd be like, somehow they didn't, in my mind, they didn't deserve it as much as maybe I did, whatever their success, whatever I was like. And success in almost any time we're talking business is some kind of success in financially, right? Why are they doing so much better than me? And there was one in particular. I remember one day I just woke up and said, okay, I'm going to look at this, and instead of looking at it as, as a negative, I'm going to look at this as a positive. What's so great? Why does everybody love this? What is going on? What am I missing? And believe it or not, it took me no time to figure out, oh yeah, you know what? They're pretty good. I was like, yeah, I can understand why I don't like them, but I can definitely understand why people like them because they're really good at this. And I'll be honest, I basically ripped them off. I said, okay, that's what they're doing right, and I'm going to take that. They don't own, you don't own. You're like me, if somebody took a wall and said, I'm going to put guitars on it like Phil McKnight, I don't own this. You can't take it. I don't give a crap. If you want to take my haircut, I'm gonna shave my head. I'll be successful. I got jokes. Like I always said, bald is not a haircut you choose. It's a haircut that chooses you. Anyways, back to the important part, which is that seems so silly to say what I said, but I could sit here and tell you like, oh, and get an accountant and make sure your LLC set correctly, and make sure you do this, and make sure you keep at least 3 months revenue. And I can tell you all these business things, and treat people with care. All of those things are important, but the first thing that will hold you back is yourself. It will happen. And so, and it's okay also after I gave you that advice. And then after you go and you grow from that and you do what I suggested, then you also get to a second place where I'm at now, where I also am okay with sometimes people doing better than me because they are not, maybe they're horrible. They screw people over, whatever the deal is, whatever it is. Because trust me, sometimes the attributes they have, you need to pay attention to them because they are great and you should copy those attributes or learn from them. But sometimes their attributes that are making them successful is horrible. And then you just learn not to do those. So there you go. The other thing I'll tell you too, as a side note, is a piece of advice that I got that was horrible was do the right things. That way you can sleep at night. And what I learned is, when you do the right things, you still don't sleep at night, because if you're the kind of personality that wants to do the right thing, you seem to always think you're not doing the right thing. And so you're stressed about it and you don't sleep. And people who screw people over don't think to have a second thought. So I've learned that horrible people get a great night's sleep. That's what I've learned from that for the most part. So basically do the right thing, treat people right. You're not going to get any sleep because you will stress about the things that because you care, and that's okay. And also, try to find some love for the people who are more successful than you, because you can't be as successful as them if you hate them. You can't become, and I guess that's the takeaway from that whole speech. You can't become more successful if you hate that, right? If you start with the successful people are horrible, then how are you going to be successful? So I guess that's my whole tirade. I apologize for going on those kind of speeches, but when I share that stuff with you guys, I share it not only because I think it might help, might help you, Mike, but also because it's hard for me to tell you these stories. And so I think if it's hard for me to tell you, maybe it's helpful. I don't know. That's what I've learned. I wish people were more honest with me when I ask for advice. I find people always like to give you the cliches, always the cliches, right? But instead just tell you like, hey, this is where I really screwed up. And if you can learn from that, take it for what it's worth. I have no idea how to say this name, so I'll just say what the question is. Should I upgrade the trim to a better Floyd on my RG Ibanez RG4 450 DX, which means it's probably like an Indonesian mid-tier Ibanez. So it's got like a basic Floyd copy type bridge on it instead of like the cool low pro type bridges that Ibanez puts on some of their guitars. I also have a Pacifica 612, Yamaha Pacifica. So I am not playing it as much. Or should I just trade it? So in other words, he's like, hey, should I upgrade this bridge or should I trade it? You could go to the Godo bridge that I think is really good. That will probably fit that style of bridge, drop-in ready. That's what you really want to look for, is drop-in ready bridges that you can just take the posts out, put new posts in. If you don't have to pull the studs, that's great, but pulling the studs is pretty easy. So, and putting in the new studs is pretty easy. Should you upgrade it? It's an easy question, believe it or not. Now that I gave you it's possible to do that and pretty easily. The only decision you have to decide is, do you love that guitar? Don't upgrade a guitar you don't like in the hopes that you'll like it. A perfect example is I did a video just recently of that Schecter Green right here behind me that I absolutely loved. I mean, I just love the guitar. I love the neck. I love the guitar. I love sharing that video with you guys. Those are deep down, if I could just make those videos all the time, the video where I'm like, I wanted this guitar, so I bought this guitar and I'm sharing this guitar with you. I mean, that's just a great way, to make content. And it's the hardest content to make financially because you can't even break even on them. But I love that guitar. And I said at the end of the video, so I'll give you guys an update. I said at the end of the video, I said, I love everything about this guitar, but I don't know if I'm in love with the bridge pickup. So I took it downstairs and I put a JB in it. So there's a Seymour Duncan JB. I kept the original neck pickup. It's right there. I actually liked the way it sounded. I was happy with it. Put a Seymour Duncan JB. A lot of you are probably like, why the JB? I calculated through experience. I was like, okay, the guitar is kind of bright. The pickup sounds punchy in the bridge, but it just sounds a little overly bright to me. And one of the things that I couldn't find on those Sonic drivers or whatever those Schecter pickups were was what magnet was in them. And I didn't take them apart. And I could have pulled the magnet and changed the magnet. So, that's a huge thing to do with a guitar pickup. Because keep in mind, a magnet is it's a big part of a pickup. How big the magnet is, but the type of magnet. Like I've said before, the easy way to think of things is think of like an Alnico 2 as being kind of dark and an Alnico 8 being very bright, and then all the variants in between. That is not a guaranteed thing, but I can't talk in it take 40 minutes to explain each thing. Just that generic thing I just brushed across will serve you well. Just keep in mind that an Alnico 5 magnet will tend to be a little brighter sounding than an Alnico 2 or 4, right? So not knowing the magnet a lot of times in the videos, it's really tough because I can tell you what the inductance is, and I can tell you what the resistance is, but that's such a small part of the picture of what a pickup is. But I do that not to tell you like, oh, quantify what this pickup is. I do that because in the category of cataloging videos, you'll have reference to other pickups. So anyways, I was thinking, the Seymour Duncan JB, which is notoriously got some people are like, I don't like it because it's kind of bassy. I thought, man, that's, it's a fuller sounding, bassier pickup. And with this guitar, I think I turned it in magic. I'm just in love with it. I'm in love with it even more. So to answer back to your question about your RG 450, if you love it, put that better bridge in it. Love that guitar even more. Make a good guitar better, right? that's what you do. So it's that's the decision. If you're like, I don't love this guitar, and if I fix it up, I might love it. I found that is not that I'm saying 100% that's not a good decision. I'm just saying I have watched people regret the money they've spent with repairs with that particular issue, where they don't love something but they want me to mod it or fix it, and in hopes that they'll like it. And more times than not, they'll get it and they're like, yeah, it's better. You'll be like, yeah, it feels a little nicer. It's a little tunes a little nicer. Still don't love it. So again, just start with that. I love it, but it's not perfect yet. I love that guitar. I just thought it was, I'm pointing at the Schecter. I love the Schecter, but I didn't think it was perfect yet. The JB just did it. And the neck pickup and that JB just seem to be living love together. They're just great. Making up words. Live in love together. They're a happy couple now. Also, funny enough, I've always said this too, that you don't pick your strings, your guitar does. That Schecter, not so much 10 to 46s. You know, I put 10 to 46s on most of my guitars, and they were just, I wasn't feeling it. You know, I just kind of felt they were a little stiff. It's 25.5-inch scale. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the way the bridge is set up, maybe the angles. Anyways, so I have 9 to 46 hybrids on there from D'Addario, and they are just magical. So again, I took a guitar that I loved and just put in Stratosphere. In fact, I'm super scared, because if you were to ask me right now, hey, Phil, that new PRS you got that's so gorgeous, that you got in the Schecter, which one? I'm liking the Schecter a lot more right now. We'll see how it all plays out. But, you know, that's not a fun experience when you're like, yeah, the guitar that was a quarter the price, the other one's really awesome. Gear math is not working. So, I don't know, man. What else do we got? Okay. Luminous Brilliance. Oh, I love that. That's good. That's a good sign on. It says, Phil, for fun, Kirk Hammett says active pickups are over. Thoughts? Well, I'm sure if he did it for fun, I like active pickups, as you guys know. I really like those Fishman Fluences I tried that were the Scott LePage models, which are, I guess, based on the Classic series, or basically the Classic series. That was the one. The Classic series Fishman Fluence pickups, I really like them. I have not put any in other guitars other than the set I have in the one guitar, but I'm thinking about it. But also, like I said, I like the EMGs. I like 8185s. I also like the 61, 81, 61, 61, 85. I like all the variances. I've tried them all, and I don't really. Some diehard EMG fans have like, this is the set they like. I've never been a huge fan of the TW EMGs, which are coil splittable. They're fine, but I never felt like I loved them more than either EMG. That all being said, active pickups like the Fishmans and the EMGs, I absolutely love them. I wish I loved them more. I want them in all my guitars, because there's so many great things that come from that. Lower noise thresholds. You don't have to deal with any kind of interference. Consistent as hell. Like I always, like the joke is, with EMGs is EMGs are like A1 steak sauce. Whether on steak or on cardboard, it tastes the same. I mean, that's what's great about EMGs. One of the best tones I ever heard in my life was in a Guitar Center. I laugh. Wasn't in the background of a Guitar Center. I plugged in. I had a Schecter with 8185 in it, and I plugged into a Friedman PT 15, and it just sounded so good. And that's what started my whole journey with Friedman, by the way. I was like, man, this sounds so good. And so I mean, I like EMG pickups a lot. I know he's saying, because he pretty much uses them all the time. I'm sure he's being funny because, it's wah pedals and EMGs for Kirk Hammett. But, it's one of those things, man. When I was talking about earlier was success in business, or at least the idea in business. What I laugh about Kirk Hammett is he plays EMGs. He's consistent, right? EMGs into a wah pedal, using a wah pedal all the time. And they're one of the most successful rock bands in history. I don't know where they place among all rock bands, in the dollars and arenas and all that stuff. But I mean, I can't imagine if you were to mention 100 of the biggest rock metal bands in history, Metallica doesn't make the list. I just can't imagine that. For personal reasons, I could say they definitely hit a higher tier of that in the list for me personally. But I'm just talking about, as generally speaking, we were just talking about iconic, huge arena rock bands. So it's funny to me. It's like that is the secret sauce. Apparently, like if you were doing a business reversal class where we reverse engineer the success of Metallica through their songwriting, that'd be one important thing. Their style, and then of course their gear, we'd be like, oh, so EMG's in a wah pedal makes a successful band. My joke, and I'll continue to say it forever and ever and ever, is the you know who's not sick of wah pedals? Everyone but guitar players. It's like everybody still loves a wah pedal. Like I said, it doesn't take, every time I'm in a pub or a bar and there's a band playing and some guitar player just starts playing the wah pedal on anything, I notice in the room a couple people always turn their head and kind of look over, listen, because they hear it. The wah pedal is this thing that just draws you in. Like how I went from EMGs to wah pedals. So, okay. Let's see. Let's go to the next subject. Okay, next subject was Dougal Dog. Hey, Dougal Dog. He says, good day, Phil. Could you address the pros and cons of zero frets and why we don't see them much on modern guitars? So pros, obviously, is I think the guitar can generally play a lot better, because now, remember, the stupid phone's talking to me. Every once in a while, for some reason, my phone just starts talking to me. Okay, so zero frets. One of the things I like about them is when you're cutting the nut slots on a guitar, obviously if you have a zero fret, you just cut the nut slots so that the strings lay on the zero fret, the first fret. And to me, you get great action and it play great. There's a ton of the great things I can say about zero fret in the way it plays. I like consistency of tone, by the way. There's an argument out there that's like, the tone, like when we talk about bone nuts, plastic nuts, graphite, you name the material, right? Brass. The argument is like, well, that only affects the open strings. Obviously, once you fret it, the tone is the fret to the bridge. That would be the argument. And of course, the zero fret means that's consistent. You would have all 22 or 24 notes, depending on your guitar, being consistent tone-wise, because the nut is basically a fret. So there's a lot of great things to say about a zero fret. One of the negatives, of course, is because the strings are laying on that fret and they do reverberate. They're vibrating all the time. They chew into the fret and they make little slots. And so a lot of people are like saying that's, it's a pain in the ass because you have to pull that fret and change it. To fix that, stainless steel frets would be the key. Obviously, if you did a stainless steel zero fret, I could not imagine you having to replace that. It would take way more time than the average player is going to put in it. It's like when I tell people all the time, I've said, you cannot wear out stainless steel frets, and then I'll ever have somebody will say, oh, I did. And I'm like, well, then you're one of 1 million, because the truth is, playtime on one guitar to get to wear into stainless steel frets is very difficult. Can it be done? Sure. I think you should try it. Pull out your guitar every day and tell me how long it took. It's going to take you a long time. You're not, in fact, if you wear divots into your stainless steel frets, I want you to really take a second and think and just pat yourself on the back, because you are playing, my friend. You're playing a lot all the time. I mean, that's how they stopped Eddie Van Halen from chewing through frets on the last couple tours, was they switched his guitars to stainless steel frets, and he wasn't even going through them. And he was literally wearing out a set of frets on each guitar, each tour. So back to the zero fret. If it was stainless steel fret, that would help a lot. That being said, those are the pros and cons. Why people don't do it. I have a couple theories on that. A lot of people who have guitar channels pontificate on this ideas. One of the things that I think hurts zero frets is they were really, really noticed on, or a lot of players noticed them from inexpensive Sears era guitars, Sears the store. And that's one thing that can hinder products is sometimes, it's association, right? You don't associate a zero fret with a 59 Les Paul or this most iconic instrument. You associate a zero fret with hey, the first guitar I ever got, Montgomery Ward, had a zero fret. So it's not something that really kind of harkens to like, oh, that's quality. And then, of course, like I said, then if anyone had one and they're like, yeah, it had spots and then it's buzzing, it was buzzing really bad because you have worn spots in the fret and the fret had to be replaced. There's a company that makes aftermarket nuts with a zero fret. Let's see if I can quick search it. And I did. It's called Zero Glide. So let's, here it is we'll share in 1 second. Just letting the internet here you go. Okay, so here it is. Hey, you can get 10% off if you go to StuMac. I have a link down in the thing, so get the 10% off and then use my link. So I'll be super rich from StuMac. So here it is. This is a aftermarket nut. You can see this is what they do. What's nice about this, they don't glue that in. It kind of sits in. I don't know. I've installed them for a couple customers. See, it kind of just pops right in there. And then you can get it comes with different size frets. There you go. This is the device right here that, see, here you go. This is how it works. If you guys are so interested, the Zero Glide bow nuts. So there you go. Oh, $50. This is the device that inspired the idea for the tool that you guys see me sometimes use, where I have all these, where I took fret wire and I radiused it and I basically made zero frets with all these different fret wires. And what I do in some of the videos you've seen me when I'm checking the nut slots, I'll slide it in there. The reason I do that, that's not the tool that I use. They're all stainless steel, by the way, the ones I made. That's not the tool I use to actually cut the slots on my nut slots on a nut. The reason I had that tool was when you do repairs, and like I said, it's not a huge income. Okay. Right. A decade of fixing guitars, you can understand like the average player coming in your shop, is not ready to throw down some real money. So you're trying to do things, make a living, pay your bills, but also be reasonable with your customers and pricing. And so one of the things you can do to be successful, one of the things I found to be super successful as a guitar tech was get really good at estimating the cost and time on things, looking at something and seeing and analyzing where the problem is, and then giving an articulate way to say, this is the problem, this is what it's going to cost. And you'll grab customers faster that way, because what they don't want to hear, guitar players want to hear when you walk in the shop and somebody goes, yeah, just leave it and I'll tell you, and I'll call you in 2 days and tell you what it's like. And I'll tell you how much it's going to cost. Guitar players just aren't like that. So it's nice if you can look at it and go, okay, I'm pretty sure this is the problem. I can address this. This is what's going to take, and this is how much it's going to cost. So I created those tools so I can slide in underneath the strings right up against the fret and go, okay, I think this is the culprit. I don't think your slot's cut correctly. And so I just did it to be fast and more accurate with my abilities to kind of bid the job. I wanted to bid the job really well. So that's why I made them, but that's where the idea came from. So if you guys are curious, a lot of you guys asked when I did the videos. I stopped using it in the video, if you noticed, and I'm go back to using the technique with your hand, because a lot of people would ask me over and over again, hey, that's really cool. Can you buy those? And what I figured out was there's no mathematical way for me to make those and make any money. So it became like I got to outsource it to somebody, and I didn't find, it was during COVID, obviously, and there was nobody really interested in outsourcing that, or building it for me to make it financially feasible. I mean, otherwise, they can't be, $100, $200 for a set. It just makes sense. So, and I can't sit there and make them for pennies an hour. You get the idea. So that's where something has to give. So, yeah. So that's what you guys are talking about. We're all talking about the same thing. Okay, let's see. Do we have one last early question? We do. DJ wants to know, any thoughts on that Schecter C1 that I reviewed, which I did give thoughts about that a minute ago. It says with the Sustainiac. I love the Sustainiac. I do not currently have a guitar with Sustainiac. I had a Sun Valley Strat, I'll call it a Strat, sent to me by American Music Supply. I really wanted to, this is why I told you it's kind of the downfalls with some sponsorship deals. I really wanted Sustainiac, not only to have it, to check it out, to do it, but also share it with you guys on the channel. And I was working with AMS at the time, America's Musical Supply, and AMS, Greg at AMS is great. And I think AMS is a great company. I'm happy I did a lot of interactions with them, and I would continue to do so, But part of the problem with American Music Supply, which is, again, it's not, when I say their problem, I mean my problem, not their problem, was, to me, the idea of working with a retailer to make content, the benefit is I don't have to pitch you guys or show you guys things that you may not be interested in, right? That's one downfall. Like I said, the downfall I've been overcoming for the last couple of years is, you guys are like, hey, do more Fender. And then Fender's like, great, here's our Acoustasonic guitar. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. My viewers want to talk about Tellys or Strats. And they're like, nah, we're not going to send that. And so I understand, like, there are companies out there, they want the YouTube channels to be marketing platforms solely, right? Their argument is like, you're an infomercial for this new product, and if you want to work with us, here's the product. Now, I'm paraphrasing. They always say things nice, like, whatever you want to do, as long as it's this. And of course, I'm susceptible to it too. I do it, as well. I show you guys products that obviously that were sent out by these companies. And it's because it's, especially early on when you're making content, you're just trying to make videos so you can get out there and just make as many videos as possible. At this point on my channel, I just don't feel like I should have to, with as many viewers as you, and as diehard community as I have. That's more important. I don't care about the views. With a community like you guys who have supported me hugely through the Patreon, through the members, through the thumbs up, through the subscriptions, I think like it's time, and it's been time, and that's why I've been transitioning slowly over the last couple of years to, hey, let's do the videos we want to do now. And if companies want to help me do that, that's great, because that's a way to really make this financially easier for me. But if they don't, then we'll continue on our own journey. For instance, I review Gibsons all the time. Gibsons, they don't interact with the channel at all. There's tons of companies that don't interact with the channel, but we put them on the channel anyways. The reason why I'm bringing up the Sun Valley guitar was I said, hey, I really want a Sun Valley guitar, and I was looking at this one I wanted, and they basically sent me the blue one, which is fine, because I guess that's the one they had heavy in stock, and they thought like, well, if you talk about that one, we'll sell more blue ones. And that's not the color I wanted, so I didn't keep it. And that's the downfall. And at the time, I didn't think there was anything like, oh, it's just a different color. But I really realized, like, sometimes you guys are asking me like, hey, Phil, did you keep that? And a lot of times I didn't keep it, not because it wasn't great, but I didn't pick it. And I don't think I should have to pick everything on the channel, because most of the videos are for you guys. But sometimes, like, look, I bought the green one. I like the green one. A lot of you guys said it was the ugliest thing ever, including my friend Ralph. But more importantly, that's the one I liked. So that's the one I shared. So Sustainiac. So I currently do not have a Sustainiac guitar. I would really like one. I really enjoyed making that video. I really enjoyed the Sustainiac. I just didn't enjoy that guitar. So and when I say that guitar, if you guys have that guitar, I like the guitar. I just didn't like that color. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. It just didn't speak to me. It was like kind of like a gray baby blue. It was a cool color, but not my color. So will I ever get another guitar with a Sustainiac? Probably. Like, I would definitely, I'm sure I'll figure out something one day. But that's why I didn't do it. And why I didn't do it on this guitar? One of the problems is I really wanted the hardtail on this guitar, and Sustainiac you always get with a tremolo, so you guys know. I have not seen, if any of you guys put in the comments if you've seen, I have not seen a production guitar, Sustainiac, without the trim. I don't know enough to know about that system to know if that's something that's required, like it has to have a tremolo to work. But I've just not seen a Sustainiac guitar without any kind of tremolo system. So deep down, I want a Sustainiac with a hardtail, but I just don't see one. I'm sure we can make one, but I hasn't seen it as a production guitar. Okay, let's hop on to some other topics and questions you guys are bringing up. Antique Rocker says Yamaha acoustic electric with a shot AA battery pack. Can't find a replacement. Can I replace it with a 9-volt? Sure, you should be able to. Hold on a second. And the reason is Hold on a second. Hold on. Because it was one of those things. That's what I want to know. Okay. So I'm looking up just to make sure, because here's where it gets tricky. It's one of those things where I don't know because I actually know. I only know because I did it. I know I can take and put two double A's and use it in a guitar that has 9 volts and it's worked. So that's what I was checking was, does it work the other way around? And some of you guys are probably electricians and probably know better than I. So maybe there's a good answer in the questions. But I'm glancing up here. It looks like it's possible. So you might want to check that out. I know one of the things here's what I can tell you about electronics and guitars. A lot of times they're not actually using the voltage that they have. Like for instance, sometimes it's 9 volts in an 18 volt system, and the 18 volt system works on 9 volts. Remember, we're not talking about pedals. We're talking about just guitars. So yeah, some people are saying you might want to check, see if it's 3 batteries. So that's what I'm saying. The good news is it's possible because I've done variations of it and I've seen variations of it done. And there's places where you can get hybrids of little things that fit into other things. For instance, like you can get a thing where like 2 smaller batteries fit into a 9 volt thing and make 9 volts and vice versa. So I would just look into that. But the good news is the answer. I think the core of your question is it possible to do that? It seems like it's possible. I just don't have the method to do it. It's not something I'm versed in. Hold on. And now I'm jumping. Okay. Well, I thought there was there's no 2-part. Okay. I thought there was a 2-part. Okay. Vim69 says, hey, Phil and the KYG crew. I cannot make the live stream, but I want to wish everyone a good weekend. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate the super chat and the love to the group. Randy Crook says, what is your favorite song that you love to play? It depends. I'm not I play the same, same song from 20 years ago. It's usually whatever song I'm into. Like last night, what I was learning was, is it Take On Me? Take On Me by Aha. Is that what it is? Hold on. I was up all night learning it. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Take On Me. And by Aha. I will put a link to it. There is in my opinion, okay, for whatever it's worth. I love it. So to say it's amazing, I feel it's amazing. There's an amazing rendition of this where Aha does it acoustically. I think it's like with an acoustic and a piano. And I just love that version of the song. It's one of those times where you realize you hear a song for the first time and go, man, I didn't even know that was the lyrics. Right? And I love Aha, I love that song, but I just had a bigger respect and love for it hearing that version. It was probably a year or 2 ago when I heard their version of it. You should easily be able to find it, by the way, if you go to YouTube. But like I said, I'll put the link. In fact, you know what we'll do? We'll do this. Excuse me. Yeah, it comes right up. It's live MTV Unplugged from 5 years ago. So I cannot click it. We'll get demonetized. But if you go, it's 93 million views 5 years ago. Aha, Take On Me live from MTV Unplugged. I'll put the link when I do the final timestamps. If you're watching this on the replay, for you currently want to leave the show, go watch it. It just changed. I love this song and it just changed it for me. So that's what I was learning on an acoustic last night. And then for some reason I got it in my head. I'm like, I want to learn how to learn it play it on a Strat and loop with some delays and huge pluming reverbs. And I did that for way too long and then went back to the acoustic. So to answer your question, what's my favorite song? I don't know if it's my favorite song, but that's the song I'm learning right now. I was just in the mood to do that, and that's what I did. Favorite song other than that, I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite song to play. To me, it's just it's a flavor of the month. So I'm always like, oh, this is what I like right now. I mean, there's riffs that they're ingrained in me. What I've learned for me is, I don't know if it's like the human nature of it or what. All the songs that I learned from age, let's say 15 to 19, I remember all of them. It's like I play all of them. It's dumb. It drives me absolute bonkers that it works the way it does. I can literally, if you were to say, hey, play this song that you learned when you were 16, I can literally play it to some degree, like, not note for note perfect, but I can play it to the point where, you know what I'm doing. The song I learned last year, songs I learned last year, you asked me to play one, and I'm like, I don't, how does it go again? It's really strange to me that it works that way. So I'm constantly learning songs, and then I feel like as I'm learning stuff, I forget stuff. So I think I told you guys when I did the event, the Rockin' 1000, we played in front of the 30,000 people or whatever, and we had to play all those songs, and we learned them all in 2 days. I had cheat sheets on the floor by my pedal, and but the cheat sheets were not like chord charts, and they weren't tabs. They were literally just what key each song was in, because I just needed to remember. That's all I needed to remember. For some reason, I would just have trouble. Like the song would start, and I'd be like, "Oh, what key is this in?" And then I'd be like, "I don't know." And so I'd look down and be like, "Oh, it's an A. Okay, we're gonna do A." And maybe that's the bass player in me. Like, just give me if you get me what key we're in, I'm sure I'll. What's that saying? If you hum a few bars, I'll fake it for you or wing it for you, something like that. I'm messing up the saying, but it's something like that. Yeah, somebody says disposable memory. Yeah, I think also, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, it's age, it's this, but I really think it's all those things. But I also think it's just how you teach yourself to learn as you get older. I have really taught myself since I'm gonna say mid-20s to learn for the sake of accomplishing a task. Like I'm really good at that now. Way more than I was when I was younger. In other words, like I can learn something just to do it. And then like, I mean, I don't mean guitar, I mean everything. I can literally learn something, do it, learn it in a day, do it perfectly. And then a week later you would ask me and I'd be like, I have no idea how I did that. Because I just learned it to do it. And then once I accomplished that task, it's like I had no more thought to be put in that. So yeah, and songs are like that way. Sometimes I learn a lot of songs and it's like I learned a song and I performed it. I played with Larry Mitchell a couple of years ago and on stage, and I learned a bunch of his songs and we played them, and I don't think I can honestly play any one of those songs in any way, form. Now, I'm thinking right now in my head going, I might know one kinda. And when I say kinda, I mean just the intro, and then it's just like, it's gone. Because like I said, I learned it just to play on stage with him, and then I was done. So that's what happens. Okay. Litvey, hey, thanks for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Thunder Falcon says Guitar Center has done away with Layaway. I think that's a bad move. Your thoughts on this? So one of these things, Thunder Falcon, is this is where I get in trouble because I'm talking to the global audience, the big audience, and you might be somewhere where this only happens. So first, as I've always stated, when we talk about these are subjects we're just talking about, okay? This subject, whatever you're talking about, this could be, I want to just make a point that we don't know, I don't know, maybe you do know. This might be just where your store is. One store might be doing that. They are the 300 stores that have is generally the same rules, but some stores do kind of, have different, depending on the market, where you're at. I've been to a lot of Guitar Centers, and things I can tell you is centers that are in more expensive high-end neighborhoods tend to not be the same as some of the stores that are in your more of a dodgy neighborhoods. And what I mean by that is the inventory. Like they're not so cookie cutter that it's like, hey, this neighborhood's not a great neighborhood, so we're going to put nothing but Paul Reed Smith, custom shop guitars in it. Like they tend to be, addressed in that market. So for instance, this might be something like you might be in an area where it's affluent and people are doing really well, And I mean, you can do it by zip code if you don't know. You can type in your zip code and go, just ask Google, what's the median income in this zip code? And it'll tell you. So for instance, like where I live, I would guess, and I could be wrong, I would guess that the Scottsdale Guitar Center, for those local people here, are going to chuckle in a minute, the Scottsdale Guitar Center and maybe like, I don't know, I don't want to pick one, but the North Phoenix or the Mesa store, definitely going to have different income brackets in their median incomes in those zip codes. So those stores will probably be effectively different. The Mesa store, for instance, might be more for students, and so it'll have a lot more student instruments, and it'll have more student type policies where the Scottsdale store doesn't need it. So they might, and it could be the opposite of what I'm saying. It could be because you're in an area that's not very affluent, and what's happening is people are putting stuff on layaways. So what I will talk about, I like to talk about things I know, than versus, kind of like, pontificate over why somebody does something. We did layaway, and what I can tell you about layaway was, for the most part, you do it because it's good customer service. It's a good thing to do. It's like, hey, we have layaway. Deep down though, for us, it was a hard thing to do. It was a hard thing to put on us. Here's why. Let's say you lay away, I'm just going to exaggerate, and I hope you understand the exaggeration. You're going to lay away an Ampeg 810 and SVT Pro head. This thing is monstrous. It's the size of a dishwasher. And now it's got to go in the back of the store where you're limited space, and it's going to sit there for 3 months. And there's a possibility that you, there's a possibility that you might go 2 months and then change your mind. We had a policy where essentially at any point with layaway, if you decide not to do layaway, we would just turn whatever you paid to layaway into in-store credit. A lot of people did not pay off layaways. It was very common. So you just we put a credit on the books, and then we return to stock is what we would do over time, right? And what I can tell you is 2 things. One, a lot of people, I couldn't tell you the percentage. I wish I knew. But I'm going to go shoot from the hip on this. I feel like 60%. I feel like 60% of the people did not finish their layaways and did not pay for them. But 100% of that 60% did come back and ask for their money. So it's like one of those things, like you're tying up inventory, you're not really getting paid. And so there's a ton of reasons why they might want to do that. Now, if you notice when I started this whole conversation, I said customer, it's customer service. I think layaway is a customer service. There's a reason why you want to layaway. So if Guitar Center is getting away to layaway across the stores, well, first of all, it's dumb. Here's why it's dumb: because Sweetwater can't layaway. So first, Guitar Center should be focused on everything Sweetwater can't do. That's just business one. Why the world is acting the way it is now is beyond me. And then I told you, I'm not a successful business person, so maybe I'm an idiot, and that's why I don't understand. But the fact that I don't understand does bug me. So for instance, I don't know why when I go to a store now or a restaurant, and I go, oh, the spot in front of the store is open, and it goes, no, these are for the people who don't come in the store, pick up their crap and leave. I'm like, well, then make them park way out there. I'm here supporting your I'm paying your freaking rent. Can I get a little love, right? No, okay, I'll walk from the farthest way so that the person who doesn't have the time or energy to come in your store, right? And actually, use your services. Same thing with layaways, right? The reason why you want a layaway is this. A customer comes in your store, and generally speaking, people lay away the cheapest things. And I'm saying that when I say cheapest, please don't take offense to anything I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I never really saw a whole lot of like, they're laying away a Paul Reed Smith Custom 24 for $4,000. No, you lay away like $400 thing, $300 thing, $200 thing. Look, I have layawayed half the gear I owned at some point, okay, in my life. The layaway, what it does, why it's good customer service is it takes your potential customer. Look, every new customer is a lifelong potential customer. Look at this 1,000 people hanging out every Friday. Look at this channel. This channel is their market. It's good. It's why I talk this way. I'm talking to Guitar Center's market just like I talk to Sweetwater's market every Friday. You're their market. I'm talking to you. We're relating, which means I'm not too off base. So here's why it's important. The customer comes in, they can't afford to buy a product from you, so they put it on layaway. They're your customer now, which means they will start the journey of the next purchase, the next purchase. And guess what? One day, maybe they'll finally get that promotion and they'll finally get that thing, and then they don't lay away. Now they got the black card. They're coming in and slapping down the credit card, right? Or whipping the cash out like they do, right? This is what rappers always do in this motion. That's what they do. And now you have these customers. You take the customers that don't have money because one day they will have money, or they have friends that have money, and that's how you build a group of people who support your store. So that's why getting rid of layaway. Now I'm saying all this because I know somebody's going to be like, so it's just 2 Guitar Centers doing that policy. So I hope that's the case. If it's a Guitar Center wide policy, it's really not. It's not a good move. Even if they're like exactly, look, like I said, I'm versed in their problems. Putting the inventory in the back, holding up the inventory, not getting the money from it. These are all problems. But in this market, if they, especially like now, we're slowing down, the market's slowing down, and their competition is mounting on the internet. And let's just say Guitar Center is not ready for the internet, right? And so what I will tell you is, if this is the case, don't forget that there's always your mom and pop stores that can't wait to take your money and be supported. And then of course there's Sam Ash, and let them take your money and be supported. That's the great thing about this. Like I said, there's a lot of businesses out there, and support the ones you love with your wallet. That's how you vote. You vote with your wallet. And so with Guitar Center, if they're getting rid of layaway, I think it's a bad move. And if it's not, well, then that's just good advice for everybody else. Cause like I said, I think layaway is always going to be important for starting the customer journey. That's just, I think it's huge. I wish the internet could figure out layaway. It just really can't at this point. When I say internet, I mean like Sweetwater stuff. All they can figure out is payment plans. AMS is the closest with their potential payment plans, and that fluctuates sometimes too. As you guys know, sometimes it's a credit check, sometimes not. But so. Matthew says, I've never laid away anything in my life. Matthew, let me tell you how my life worked, okay? In October, okay? I'm not making this up. I've never opened a wrapped Christmas present probably in my entire life. And when I say that, I mean maybe when I was 6. Here's why. How Christmas worked in my house was my mother would take us to Kmart in October, and we would pick out our Christmas presents and some clothes and other things. And then we would walk to the back of the store. I remember, because you're always in a line, and my mom would put everything on layaway. And then for the next 2 months, we would go with my mom. I remember it was great because if you guys know, Kmart used to get remember they had the slushy, the ices. You get an icy and you get a ham and cheese sandwich. And God, I hate saying this crap. Anyways, but it's true. And so, that's we would go and we would have an icy, and you would go and your mother would make a payment on your Christmas gifts that were layaway till Christmas. That's how we got Christmas gifts. Layaway literally made it happen for us. Now at some point we transitioned as a family, right? We got to the point where we didn't have to do that anymore, right? And maybe my mom started putting them on credit cards like everybody else. But that's what I'm saying. The truth is that without that system, my mom wouldn't have done it that way. And then when my mom did have a credit card, when my mom eventually got a really good job with the airlines, she still went to Kmart until Kmart closed, right? So it wasn't my mom's fault that Kmart closed. She was still going there. She was still supporting Kmart, but now with money in hand instead of, an IOU and a wish list, So that's how businesses are done. And again, beggars can't be choosers. I can understand if Sweetwater doesn't want to do it. They're winning. So, if you don't got the credit card with the Sweetwater people, then I guess they're like, suck it. But a Guitar Center, whether they know it or not, they need your business. They probably don't know it. They don't seem to know it. They need your business. They need to work for it. And I would be glad to send anyone that way, because I think if somebody's willing to get your business or work for it. Buzz Sting says Kmart on 22nd Culp. That is literally the Kmart we used to go to, the 22nd Culp. So please, guys, indulge this for me for a second, just because obviously there's some people here from Tucson, Arizona that know this pain. The Kmart, what I remember about Kmart was we'd go to Kmart and you'd always be freaked out. Like, I hope my friends don't see me in Kmart. Never occurred to us once that if your friend's in Kmart, they're in Kmart. So who cares if they see you, but you'd always freak out. Right. But I remember after leaving Kmart, you went to Pick and Save. I remember that was like the thing. We would go to Pick and Save. And I loved going to Pick and Save as a kid because I knew I was always going to get something. I remember I got a Star Wars Darth Vader mug. Pick and Save was Ross. If you guys are familiar with Ross, it's like the store that bought all the closeouts from the stores. It was all this cheap stuff, right? You could get the candy that was like a year past expiration, but it was still good. So there you go for those. And for those of you who never experienced that stuff, hey, some of you guys probably wishing you had it that good. So, I don't want to give it everything like a bad story. That was good times. And I have friends that wished their mom could have put their crap on layaway at Kmart and gone to Pick and Save and got a ham and cheese sandwich. Like I said, it's a different world for everybody at different times. Mukbang Fatty, what's up, buddy? He says, which Switchcraft switch did you use in the Badlands? I don't know what they end up using. I know I only made the recommendation that we use the Switchcraft style switch, so I don't know what they used. I have not looked at it. I have right here. I have a Badlands prototype hardtail. This guitar right here, and I have not looked inside of it. So you guys know, last week I talked about, sorry guys, I know I'm talking away from the microphone. Last week I talked about the fact that I go to Badlands and do some inspections of the first, I think they shipped 22 guitars is what they decided, based on what we looked at. So what I didn't tell you was I paid full, I think I mentioned I paid full price for this guitar. I paid the same as everybody else. And I ordered this is a prototype. So technically, so there's 54 red lines that will exist on the planet Earth. There's the 50 that you guys, some of you guys bought. And then there are the 4 prototypes, three being tremolo-based prototypes. I have number 1 or 3, I don't know. And then what happened was, I think I told you the story, but just important. Before they launched the Badlands, I reiterated my concern that we weren't doing lefties and we weren't doing hardtails. And at first, the answer was no. Remember, like I said, I'm just a small partner. Like I said, I have a specific job I do with Badlands. And that's it. Like that's my involvement. So one of my things that I do is what I'm about to tell you right now, which was say, hey, look, I think there's a mistake here. I think we need to offer hardtail. I think some people are going to dig the finish. I think they're going to dig the vibe, but they don't want the waka waka bars. So I said we need to do a hardtail and also a lefty. And this went back and forth, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if I just got more charming towards the end, but at the last minute, literally last minute, days before the launch, the answer was yes. So my concern, the lefty's fine. That's, it's easy. They just make the same guitar, righty, lefty. However, the hardtail was a little concerning to me because there was no real hardtail. So what you guys that bought hardtails, I think there was 8 hardtails sold, I think. The ones that bought the hardtails, what you bought was a photoshopped looking guitar. It didn't exist. That's why in the videos they're all tremolos. Because that was my decision to say, let's do our hardtails. My concern then was, what if these 8 people get these hardtails and they don't play right, or they don't feel right, or they don't sound the same? Remember, we decided to do the high mass hip shot bridge for that reason, to kind of make the mass sound right, make it sound right. So one of the things I asked for was I purchased a hardtail for myself, and the agreement was I would not okay it until I played it and knew what was right. Okay, like shipping out and stuff, make sure they're fine. So I got it, and I love it. I can't say I like it more than the tremolo. It's definitely different. It's louder acoustically, which is interesting. There's a lot of cool things about it. So I haven't not looked inside it to see what switch ended up going that way. Remember, I can only, even in my deep dive, you gotta understand, my deep dive video is not a promotion for Badlands. My deep dive video was literally a deep dive of the Badlands guitar. Like all those videos, I just suggested the companies, and obviously with Badlands, I have probably a little bit more weight in that decision. In other words, they should listen. They're going to listen a little harder, but I don't know what was done and not done from my suggestions. So there you go. All right. Oh, and so questions. The question probably is not, but it just ties in. How did Saturday go? It was interesting. I got up at 4:30. I got after the show Friday. I got everything ready for the next day. I got up at 4:30 in the morning. I was on the road and moving with coffee and everything at 6 a.m. So that was good. I got there at 12-ish, right? So noon, a little ahead of schedule. I was supposed to be there by 1 or 2. I paid Nathan to come, and Nathan was there at 1 o'clock, and we we started going through guitars. We bought the crew, the employees and the owners of the shop. We bought them lunch, nothing fancy, like it was Jack in the Box. But we bought lunch and went through guitars. I partially unleashed Nathan on them, partially meaning like Nathan is, he's smart enough dude to know. He's like, what do you want me to do? And I go, this is what I want you to look for. I gave him, what I was interested in, what didn't matter, what did matter. But I said, I want to know everything, but this is what I want you to focus on. And I went through electronics and setups, and he went through, everything else. And then we made our suggestions of what we thought should be addressed and taken care of. And look, it sounds good, right? Doesn't it sound great? You can understand. I don't know if you guys got jobs. Hopefully most of you guys got jobs. If you have jobs, having somebody come and just critique your work and start picking at it and good or bad. Remember, we're not saying like this is unacceptable. I'm critiquing things that are essentially really good. These paint jobs are insanely time intensive. And, I'm picking at every little thing, and I got to pick at, on the pickups and picking everything. So they, I kind of felt like they had enough. When I say that, like you could see in the mannerisms in their faces, like as nice as we came across everything, it was still a lot of stuff to give them. And so what happened was I was supposed to stay the night, have dinner, and then, hang out there and do some more stuff on Sunday instead. I said, let's wrap up and go. So we left around 6:30 in the afternoon. Nathan, I grabbed a burger. I bought him dinner to say thank you again and paid him. And then I drove back and I was home by like 1:40 in the morning. So, cause I was like, if I stay tonight in a hotel, I'll get up in the morning. It's Sunday and I'll just be like, I'll sit around until, 11 and drive home, and I might as well just drive home. So I just went and drove home. And besides, I was like, I kind of want to just be home now because it was a lot of work. So that's what happened. There you go. There's the update on that. I gave everybody the same update, a little more detailed on the patron side and the channel member side, but generally that was the gist of it. So. Oh my God! Tactical Six String says layaway is when you make payments to a store until it's paid in full, and then you get the item. I apologize to anyone that I did not explain what layaway is. Like I said, it's so ingrained in my childhood and lifestyle that I just assumed everybody knows what layaway is. I apologize. Layaway is like, yeah, it's like credit, except for you don't have to have credit, and they don't give you your stuff until you give them money. It's like they promise not to sell these things until you pay for them. That's kind of, yeah. So thank you, Tactical Six String, for explaining that. And I apologize for not explaining that to anyone who didn't know. Clan of House Cats says, new amp day, JJ Jr. That's a great amp. My first amp. Your first amp? Oh, your first Friedman. Oh, okay. It's a great one. Has enough gain for some sustain. Glad I can get a nice thrash tone out of it with the option. Nice cleans. Great amp. Like I said, I had, when I got that amp, I got that after I got the Runt, and I had the Friedman PT15. And to be honest with you, I think I said this in the past, and I'll say it again now. I should have stopped at the JJ Jr. That's really like, I love my small box. I love the twin sister. These are the, the not the Holy Grails, because the B100 is like the Holy Grail Friedman, big dollar amp. These are big dollar amps, and I can tell you, they are. Maybe they're better than the JJ Jr. I don't even know, but I mean, I was just as happy with the JJ Jr. Like I said, if I didn't go up the ladder to where I'm at now and stayed at JJ, I would have never missed a thing ever. It's a great amp. It's probably my all-time favorite Friedman amp, which is really just the Runt with just more gain. That's all it is. Same clean channel as the Runt. Just on the gain side, it's just got a little bit more gain. That's all they did. Otherwise, it's the exact same amp. It's made the same way. It's done the same way. It's the same. So to me, if you have a Runt and you just want a little more gain, get the JJ Jr. And I think that solves your problem. Grumpy Mike Guitar says, Amazon finally has the Inyanova Go back in stock with free shipping. I ordered one. Yeah, that was one of those videos. Like, you can't predict your videos, right? That video, I guess you could say went viral for guitar. For me, went like crazy viral, right? Like I don't even know. I can't, like, looking to see if I can see it. Like 500,000 views, some crazy number like that. So it'll be no shock to you guys. Let me see, where is it at? Let me see. 581,000, almost 582,000. 581,000 views. It'll be no shock to you that Inya reached out and talked to my wife and said, hey, we would really like to send him another guitar and sponsor a video. So we'll be doing one of those in July. It's a new product from them. So obviously I was like, it's really cool. I have to tell you, like, I don't know if it's ego sometimes, but sometimes when a company reaches out like that and is like, hey, we like what you did. We would like you to do more. I don't care about the sponsorship or anything else. I just like it just feels good to like, oh, you like what I did and it did well for you and and you appreciate it. Well, then I think we're friends forever. I don't know what to do with your compliments. I think I want to hug them, put them in my pillow. So there you go. Okay. So okay. All right. Next question or subject is yeah, we did it. Okay. Jim says, hey Phil, that red Firebird behind you, do you like the mini humbuckers or would you prefer different pickups? And what would they be? My involvement with that guitar so far has just been very basic, very like, strumming, playing, getting a sense of it. It's because like I do with all the videos, I do the deep dives and all that stuff. I spend some time with the instruments. It's always, I spend as much time as I can, try to go as the reason is because I want it. Look, deep down, every guitar, I'd like to just unbox it and just share it with you guys. That's great. What I've learned is for me, that's not the right method for me. The whole, like, I just got this really just plows a ton of excitement on you guys. And I found that I'm always going to be that way. Like, every guitar, even a guitar that's not that great, I'm going to be excited about it first because it's exciting. It's new. It's a new guitar day, right? So, or in some rare cases, you're like, what the hell, right? You don't like it. Either way, those are the wrong emotions for me to show. So I really want to be like, hey, look, I've had some time with it. I've been playing it for a while. I've been looking at it. I've gone, this is where I'm at. This is what I like. This is what I dislike. Because ultimately, it's about what you're doing with your content. I'm trying to make content that will last many, many years. And so I like it if, in my mind, what I picture is 5 years from now, they either reissued this red Firebird or some guy finds one used on Reverb and he's looking for someone to tell him what their experience was. And I don't know how it's great. I just got it. It's awesome. Get one too. It's going to help you more so than like, hey, look here, it's a little top heavy here. This is the thing I didn't like. Here's the thing. So to answer your question, I haven't really discovered what I like or dislike about the pickups yet. So I just don't know. I don't have any, I won't know until I play it through enough amps to hear what it is. But right now, my general ideas are, I love it. Everything about it so far, I've dig. It's light, it feels good. I don't know. It's cool. Got nothing bad to say about it yet. Although there's some cool, interesting things. Like I know one of the things is going to be a tech tip on it, which is cool. It'll be probably the first tech tip that we ever did because this is used. I bought it used, where it's going to help you like, oh, something bad happened to it. Not super bad, little bad happened to it from the previous owner or, wherever. So it's a kind of like, here's how you can avoid that problem. So I think that'll be cool to share with you guys. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. Alex says, Stu Mac 0.225 shim, okay, on the Fender Strat Micro Tilt and a Fender Strat Micro Tilt. How does this work together? Okay. A Micro Tilt and a shim. Let's just start with this. Okay, so I'm just reading through the question. I'm going to get the sense of the question. There's a lot of information here. So what he's talking about is Stu Mac makes shims for your neck that help you shim your neck and change the angle of the neck. Either lift the neck entirely and kind of change the action or tilt it. You can do pieces of shim, or you can, in my what I do is I use sandpaper, old sandpaper for shims all the time. But Fender, of course, makes a product called the Micro Tilt. It's built into a lot of Strats and Tellys and other guitars, American-made guitars usually, where it has an Allen wrench and you turn it as a screw, and then there's a metal plate on the neck, and of course you can loosen the neck screws, and then you turn it and it tilts the neck. Again, doing the same effect, changing the pitch to effectively get the action dialed in correctly. There is an argument that, when you do that, obviously all the vibration of the neck's going through this one screw now, right? Because there's a gap and it's not compressed. Have I noticed that? I think I have, but I don't know if that's placebo. Like I said, I did it and then I would go, gosh, it doesn't sound the same. And so I would adjust the micro tilt out and then I would put sandpaper and compress that and go and told myself it sounded better. I don't know if that's true or not. It's one of those things like you tend to think things because, I'm having an emotional reaction to it. Like it just feels different, sounds different. That's what's great about making content. Sometimes when you watch it back on the playback, you're like, oh, maybe it didn't matter like I thought. So to answer your question, how do I feel about it? Really, I don't have any preference of it. I think at the core of your question is one of the part of the question that I didn't quite understand was like why you would use both. You wouldn't use both. Just for the record, Alex, how does this work together? You wouldn't work them together. The micro tilt will solve the problem. You don't need it. You don't need a shim if you have a guitar with a micro tilt. Let's start there. One of the things that's nice about micro tilt, you got to understand one of the advantages of that micro tilt is that it's easy to adjust anywhere. So you got to understand a lot of times with guitars, you got to think of it like they made these guitars. This is the irony of this. They made these guitars for touring musicians, working musicians. Somebody who's in Colorado when it's freezing and they go in the bar and it's heated and all of a sudden the neck's just going wacky because it was just basically in the freezer and now it's in a heated room. And so you might have to make adjustments and maybe that is the pitch of the neck, right? So they wanted that to be an easier process than obviously taking off your neck, shoving something in there, rebolting it back together. To me, if you're at home, a lot of those easy features like the micro tilt are nice, but they're not necessary. You can just use shims. So to me, I prefer the shims over the micro tilt, but like I said, I've told you why, and I can't substantiate that with any real proof or logic. I just think that thing. And even though I know it could be not true, I still think it. So I'm going to say I think it for now. There you go. Personally, though, I don't really buy the StewMac shims. They're really expensive. So I have friends that swear by them. They're really good. A lot of people love them. I hear nothing but good things, but they're pretty expensive, and I haven't had a need for them for me personally. And no customers ever brought them to me and said, hey, put this in my guitar. So they would just tell me like, make the guitar play great. So we would just do whatever it takes to make the guitar play. David says, I still don't have any stinking question. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. He was on the when we did release the Schecter and he did the same joke. I like the joke. So Pops, okay. The intrepid peddler says, hey sir, I'm actually a dump truck driver here. Did you ever have any luck with the chuck at bootlegger guitars? I've never heard bootlegger guitar. Hold on. Just curious since our Patreon conversations. No. So the part of the problem with whatever we talked about is going to be how I interact with companies now. So there was a transition period. We were talking about me talking to bootlegger. You got to understand now, I don't talk to companies. It's very rarely to none. Like I don't talk to them at all. I'd like the interaction to be as limited as possible and only when the interaction to be only about questions I have about the product itself. That's the interaction I like to have with most of the companies. So for instance, like, hey, if I need to know something or I'm confused about something or curious about something, I want to clarify something. That's the interaction I want to have with the companies. When it comes to getting guitars on the channel and all the rules now we do, I don't have to handle that anymore. And I've been slowly pushing that away. And it's now at this point, it's very rare. For instance, I've been kind of doing some of it last couple of weeks because of the situation, but I try to minimize that. So companies, the reason is because it's just easier for me. Companies, they bum me out and they tire me out. And I'm sure I bummed them out and tired them out. And I just decided one day, I said, there's a reason why bands don't really talk to the clubs. You know, they have a manager for that. There's a reason why you don't want the companies to be interacting with me on that level. I just find it to be non-productive. And plus, you have to understand, on an average week, I could spend 20, I'm not exaggerating, I wish I was, 20, 30 hours a week talking to companies for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, you know, because it's companies, the way a company works, the way the YouTube gig works is like company reaches out to you and goes, hey, I love what you do. Oh, cool. And we want you to do some content. Great. And I go, this is what I want to do. And they go, well, tell us more about what that would mean for us and how that would work and what it would look like. And I'm like, wait, I thought we started with you love what I do. Wouldn't it be just simple to send me something and I just do what you saw me do 950 times before now? And that will just be what happens. And instead it's turning into like, and what's your demographic and what are your customers or what are your viewers like and what are their age groups and what do they focus on and what is this? And you know, just more and more information. And I'm like, yeah, look, and the problem for me, so you guys understand and just keep in mind, I mean, I'm doing that while I'm also like, I'm busy. Like I got to get to the content. So we change that. So to answer your question with bootlegger, I wouldn't know if we were talking to them right now. I don't usually know. My interaction with companies at this point is, for instance, I was asked 2 questions in the last 2 days, which was both about time frames. Like, could I get a video by the 26th? That was one of the questions I got. And the other one was, do I have a problem with something? And that was the question that I had. And I just go, yeah or no. And that's it. So that's how it works. So, you know, you guys know Tim Pierce. I consider him a good friend. He's been great to the channel. And Tim doesn't handle his with companies either. And me and Tim talked, this is a couple of years ago, and we basically told me how he was doing it. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know, I gave him some advice how I do things and he took it. And now I took some advice from him back going, yeah, you know what? That's a great idea. I think I'll have somebody handle that for me. So there you go. Yeah, Patrick says they sound like they never watch your channel. You know, I don't want to go on this tirade. This is the YouTuber complainer tirade, and I caution myself from always doing this because it's just a horrible thing to do for yourself or anyone else. But if it's funny, I want to share. So I'm trying to share this funny thing with you. Not only do companies tell me they love my channel, which they do it to every YouTube channel. We all talk, and they're like, yeah. They go, oh, I love your channel. They say they love your channel. They love what you do. And then the negotiation starts. But what's even funnier is if you can get past all that and you finally get to a point where you're both happy and then you do the content, it just always cracks me up. They still don't watch your channel because then they always send you a thing going, hey, when are you going to put that out, that video? And you're like, it was out 2 months ago. It did really well. It's got like 200,000 views. And they're like, oh. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You like the channel. But again, I told you guys this. Look, I'm very upfront with this. They don't care about me, and that's okay. No company cares about this channel or me. They care about you. Just like companies didn't care about Guitar World back in the day. They care about the subscribers to the Guitar World. You know, they just wanted to put their product in front of your eyes. And we're guitar junkies, so we want to see their product. You know, right? So, so to me, it's like, how do you do that? And that's what we're doing. So, like I said, hopefully we're talking to Bootlegger. I think they're cool stuff. Smelly Cats Jazz says, is there anything... Oh, hold on. Is there anything that looks like an Ernie Ball Music Man bridge with the cool shield? Okay. Ernie Ball Music Man doesn't sell them, and I want to swap a Sterling bridge for the STV60 on my STV60 on his STV60 on their STV60. I don't know of anything like that. I mean, there might be somebody out there that's done it. I haven't seen anything that's really, really reminds me of that shield type look. I mean, Music Man is one of the companies that they make, like, look, that's the best thing about Music Man and Paul Reed Smith and big companies like that. They're literally going to make their own bridges and their own knobs and their own stuff. So, and they have no really desire to do aftermarket, you know, for anyone else. Or they commission to have their stuff made for them. That's probably more accurate. They don't really make a lot of that stuff. They just have it commissioned, and they can control that. And then smaller companies like Kiesel have to buy, aftermarket, type products and stuff, and other builders. Kiesel is not a small builder, but they're not, obviously they're not a 70 million, $100 million company yet. So to answer your question, I don't know of anything that's like that, but if somebody does, they might have done that. I just, again, haven't come across in my travels, but if they have, share it. That'd be awesome. So I love it. Dave says the only company that doesn't care about its customers is Rickenbacker. I read that because I saw it. I just saw your statement. I'm curious why. Because I'm about to review deep dive of Rickenbacker, and it's been a hard video, man. It's been a hard video to do. I already have a version of it that I don't like, and I've started filming another entire ground up version because I'm like, I just don't like I don't like what I'm learned or what I'm sharing and what you're learning. It doesn't feel like it's good enough. So there. Okay, let's see. Okay, so by the way, Thunder Falcon is clarifying that it's not a local to his company, the Guitar Center layaway policy. It's company wide, he was told. So again, I think it's a bad move, but hey, it's at least it's consistency, right? They tend to do consistently bad moves, in my opinion. And again, I want to always point out just over and over again, I'm not picking on Guitar Center employees. I love those guys. I love that they have the passion and they want to do this. I mean, look, there's a reason why somebody wants to work at a Guitar Center. It's funny. I should say this. I was watching a Johnny Bean video, and so you guys know, if you know the Johnny Bean channel, I've been on there a few times way back in the day. They're very into Van Halen. They're very into guitars. They like talking guitars. These guys are hardcore. They talk for hours about guitars, way longer than us. And it's got a great channel. He's about to hit 10,000 subscribers. It's like a big milestone. Look, these are the big milestones. I've said it before. For some reason, for me, the biggest milestone I ever hit was 30,000 subs. I don't know why. I don't know why that can't qualify why I say that every time, but I've been saying it for years. Just something about that size felt big, huge. Like, wow, I can't believe that. So I'm just saying, if you can go over there and show some love, get him to 10,000 subs, that'd be freaking awesome. But he's been doing these videos where he goes in music stores and he just films it. It's the weirdest damn videos I've ever seen. I say that because I really like Johnny, and so I feel comfortable saying this. Don't stop doing them. I have watched now 2 or 3 of them. I cannot figure out for the life of me why the F I'm watching them, why I let them play in the background and watch them, what I'm even doing. It's like he just walks in a music store with a camera and just like looks around. Doesn't really say anything. I know in the blues, it did these. I didn't get to see it. A lot of content I don't get to see, but I get to see the thumbnails, and of course I like those channels. So I'm like, okay, cool, and I'll try to pop in a channel, hit a thumb up or something, and get out. But he did some Guitar Store Saturdays, and that was a whole series. I think he's still doing it, but that was more involved. What Johnny's doing is just actually like, I want to say like, I don't know if I'm saying this right. It's like a voyeurism, right? Where you're just like, he's just walking around with a camera in the store. And I'm just like, what's in that store? And so he did one at a Guitar Center, and he was walking around the Guitar Center, and I was looking at this Guitar Center, and he's got a couple of them, and I was looking, and just the Guitar Center is in disarray. And I don't go to Guitar Centers very often. It's not a store I get to go to very often. Because there's not a whole lot of stuff that, that's going to be in the Guitar Center that I don't have, or, I don't have access to. But, anyways, he was going through the Guitar Center, and it was kind of disarray. And I was thinking, I wish Guitar Center was cooler. And here's what I mean by that. Here's what I mean by that. You think when I talk about Guitar Center and Sweetwater, I want to be very clear. Sweetwater, to me, I'm not saying they're great. I never say that. I'm just saying, like, they seem to get it so well, like what's going on. Like I said, if I want to do a video about something and Sweetwater's like, yeah, let's do that. Right. Or if you have a thought, Sweetwater's like, yeah, whatever sounds cool, man. Let's get your viewers to start buying our stuff. Like, that's basically everything I come up with. Every channel I know comes up with. That's how it translates to them. Is like, whatever, man. Okay. Sounds good. We like your viewers to buy our stuff. Guitar Center has always been the opposite, as you guys know, with me, and all YouTubers, as far as I know, but mostly me, because I can speak for myself, where it's like they don't want to interact, they don't want to do anything, and I don't really care because I don't need them. I make content fine. It's more of it's more of a, well, this would do you a lot of good and it doesn't hurt me, so let's do it. Let's, what does it cost? So here's why I'm telling you that. As you guys know, I did restring events for Sam Ash and other stores where I went there all day and restring guitars, and I've done events and I've gone to Guitar Centers. And I was sitting there going, I wish Guitar Center was cool, because I was watching his video of him walking to this Guitar Center, and I was losing my mind, by the way, because I was like, strings are on the floor, everything looked like it just was the day after Black Friday in disarray. And I'm thinking, I just walk around and pick that up. Not Johnny, the employees, like pick the fucking strings up and put them back on. Like, if your store, if it looks like you don't give a crap in your store, how is anybody gonna give a crap that comes in? So I was sitting there going, and it's, whatever, it's my opinion, but I was sitting there going, God, I would love to work at a Guitar Center for a couple days. Like, obviously, like, I understand there's legality issues, so they'd probably have to like officially hire me, which I would do it. I'm putting it out there in the universe, okay? That's how you manifest destiny, right? You put it out in the universe. Let me put this out in the universe. I would literally go to work at Guitar Center. For one, I would do it just so you know, if I didn't have to fill out paperwork and become an employee and all that stuff, if they just let me work their store, right, we can sign some kind of agreement. Like, I'd sign an NDA too. Like, I wouldn't disclose what employees are paid or any of the stuff they want to keep, is because they're corporate secret. It's fine with me. I would work for free for full shifts, right? For at least a weekend. I might even do a week, maybe a month. I don't know, right? Depends. But I would definitely do a weekend. I would work at Guitar Center and share like my experience with that. Find out how wrong or right I really am sometimes, because remember, just because I worked and owned a store for a while doesn't mean I know everything about a store, especially a chain like that. But I do have some insight into the world, and so I can look at stuff and kind of, hey, based on this, my experiences, this is what I think is going on. I would love to do that. Literally interact with customers, sell gear. Could I outsell their sales guys with my positive attitude, right? I'm not saying they don't have positive attitude, just like, but I could put that energy forward. I would just love to do that. I would love to film most of it, make a video. Again, I would absolutely do the thing where I'm like, I would, hey, Guitar Center, I wouldn't post anything unless they saw it first, whatever, we could work out the deal. Because again, it's not about like, I'm not going like somebody's like undercover boss. I'm not here to expose anything. I don't, this is not the right channel for that. I'm not here to expose anything. I'm here to just say, is it cool? Is it cool to work at a Guitar Center? Is it a crap show? Is it great? Are customers horrible? Are they great? Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's having fun? I don't know. I don't even know what the idea is. Somebody says Guitar Tech don't work. Maybe I Guitar Tech for them for 2 days. I don't know. I just kind of feel like when I was watching that video, like, wouldn't that be something, right? Who cares if anyone watches it or not? Again, just to have that experience and share it. It's kind of like how Sweetwater let me take the sales engineer test, and it was brutal. It was brutal. Again, you can I have people now tell me, like the 55-point inspection, I went through every detail of that inspection. People can tell me it's fake. You can tell me it's great. I don't care. It's great. But I can tell you what it is because I did it. I went through the whole process. So I feel like that's always a better place to come from, is the whole, like, I did it, maybe I'd understand in a weekend why they don't layaway anymore, if that's what it is they're doing. Or maybe, I don't know. I just, like I said, I was thinking about that. So I'll put that out in the universe. Maybe, I doubt it. Maybe somebody at Guitar Center will see this podcast, or somebody will send them a clip. The right person knows the right person, and they'll go, yeah, you know what? Could be fun content. Look, it'd be fun content. Again, like I said, when I talk about Guitar Center, it's not because I want them to fail. I want them to succeed. But to succeed, I gotta want to buy stuff there, and I don't want to. And I want to. That's the reality of it. And I figure if I don't want to, most of you guys don't want to. And again, when I say I don't want to, no, I want to. I'm just not finding, a lot of things I'm not finding it always a great experience there. Not always. Sometimes, yes. I hope that makes sense. So. Somebody says, you could just go to hang out at a Guitar Center for the weekend. Well, I've learned that from Johnny Bean. You could just do that. I see he's just doing it too. Here's the deal with that, though, for me. It wouldn't work. They, I feel like what I would need, so when I did the video at Sam Ash, let me tell you that, just so you guys know. When I did the deal at Sam Ash where I went and bought a guitar and had that experience, or when I did the Respring events, it was really just about, like, I asked them for permission and they said yes. Okay. Same thing. Like, I didn't, they didn't ask me to, like, don't, show this or stuff. Just, I just told them, I said, I'll send you the video before it goes out. And they go, okay. Right. And they looked at the video and they go, it's great. They understood the intention, just like Sweetwater. Sweetwater and I had an agreement, basically, that says I would, let them see the stuff I put out from Sweetwater behind the scenes. So, Sweetwater didn't really stop me from anything except for one thing. And it was because it was a little sensitive, internal sensitive. Nothing you guys would have found interesting. So of course I was like, oh, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, so you guys know, in most cases, God, 9 out of 10 times easy. When I go to factories, when I go places, they usually approve everything. And then I go, you sure you want people to see this thing? And they're like, oh yeah, don't show that. So most of the time I'm the one protecting them, with like a, hey, just so you guys know, I don't know if you'd want your competitors to see that room or that thing. And it's in the background. They can see it the whole time. And they're like, yeah. So, what's my point? My point is that, I just want it to be fun, just like what I did at Sam Ash. I'm like, but I need permission. Here's why I need permission. First, it's the right thing to do. Second, I won't be the same if I'm paranoid. I don't want to make a video like, I'm like, okay, I'm in the Guitar Center. They don't know I'm here. Let's look at this guitar. Like, I don't want to make that kind of content. That's not a content I've ever been interested. I want to be like, hey guys, like I did at those other places. Hey, today I'm at Sweetwater. Hey, today I'm at Sam Ash. Let's check it out. Let's have some fun. So, but I would like to work at the Guitar Center. I don't know why. I've never worked at a Guitar Center. I've worked, like I said, in MI, but I've never worked at the Guitar Center. And maybe I love like I always love. I'd love to be educated on something. I'd like to know what it is I'm getting wrong with this. And maybe then the tone of my videos on these shows would change. Maybe for years later, I'd be like, man, just like with Sweetwater, sometimes people will talk about Sweetwater and I go, yeah, look, here's why they do it that way. It makes sense now that I've seen it this way. Or to this day, oops, maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't know why I hit the table. Somebody says that'll be sweet. Like I said, we'll see. Ben Fowler says layaway is 30 days according to their website. Yeah, again, that's why I said I always caution. I trust what you're saying about layaways being discontinued. So what was the sign on that said that? I apologize. Thunder Falcon. But like I said, I always just cautious because again, it's a big world. Okay. Okay, Steve Wright, great question. It says, can I drop a Seymour Duncan into a Kiesel Aries? With Kiesel guitars, I have videos that I've talked about this in the past. When you talk about pickups, I do have some individual tech tip videos coming out. If you guys couldn't figure out that this was coming, obviously in all the deep dives now I have a tech tip. And so of course, eventually we'll isolate the tech tips and release those as videos. Right? It'll probably be some day where I just do 2 or 3 at a time. Just put them out. I don't know why I made that sound. So I have a tech tip video on this that talks about where you have to pay attention with pickups on guitars. And the thing you have to pay attention to with pickups is that Kiesel guitars, their pickups are like DiMarzio, where the majority of the pickups, they have wings instead of legs. In other words, the legs come straight out. Okay. Seymour Duncan on average has what's called a short leg. Okay. In fact, I probably should go to that video where I show this. I have a video where I show this, but let me just type this in. And for visual aid purposes, and go to Google Images. Okay. And, oh, perfect. Okay. So we'll go back. Oh, I think I found a better. Here we go. Aha, perfect. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So what we have here is a base plate for a humbucker pickup. You can see here this base plate. This is what I would call, and this, looking at this one, this looks like long legs to me. The legs are this piece right here that I'm pointing at. So a good pickup with short legs would be cut off right about here. So this plate would be in the halfway mark. Okay. And then on some of the Kiesels and other DiMarzios and some other pickups, there is no leg. It's a leg still, but I call it like an ear or what do we call it, a wing. It just, this piece right here is right, even with the base plate. Why that's important is that obviously if they route the hole for the pickup about this deep, and you put the pickup in, you want to measure the thickness of the pickup from the bottom of the leg. Okay. Wish I had a pickup as a prop, from the bottom of the leg to the top of the bobbins. That's how you figure out how tall the pickup really is. Okay. So if you pull out your Kiesel pickup and let's say you take the caliper out, or you take a measuring tape and you measure it, and let's just say, keep things easy, it's 2 inches thick, right? And it won't be that thick. It'll be like 1.5 inches, but let's say 2 inches thick, and you pull out your Seymour Duncan with with short legs, and that is 2.5 inches thick. You understand that part of the problem is when you direct mount the pickups into the Kiesel, you're going to screw the screw. The screw is going to go 1/2 inch deeper than it did, and it's going to stick out the back of the guitar. You're going to drill right through the guitar. So you need to be aware of that. So what I caution you, you can do it with Duncans, but you need to either shorten the screw, right? Because you can't use this longer screw, but you need to basically be prepared to adjust for all that. One of the things you see a lot, it's always Kiesels. You see it on Reverb. They'll be like, use Kiesel. It happens all the time. And they'll be like, $1,500. I'm like, that's a good price for that Kiesel. And I click on it, and there's like 2 screw holes through the back of both sides of the guitar. And they're like, yeah, I screwed through it when I was doing it, and that's why I'm discounting it. So like I said, just be aware of the fact that you want to make sure that if the pickup's thicker, that you're adjusting for the fact, because you got to get the pickup the distance between underneath the string, and right. And if it's thicker, it needs to go deeper into the guitar to get the same distance. I hope all that made sense. But I'm sure it did. Thank you, Steve. Parker says, hey, Phil, do I get a P22, which is the, I think it's the Piezo 22 fret Paul Reed Smith guitar. So it's a custom 22, but with a Piezo system, and an SE hollow body 2 Piezo system, or an SE custom 22, or a core hollow body 2 Piezo. Okay, so you want me to spend your money? I think you should buy the most expensive one. No, seriously. I like so let's just keep things easy. You seem to, for lack of purposes, let's just get rid of the SE custom 22 altogether, because the other 3 have the Piezo system. And so I think that's what you're after. The custom 22 core guitar with the Piezo system to me, is a really phenomenal guitar. One thing I will tell you with me is that one of the reasons I suggest buying a core over an SE or an S2 even is the long-term investment potential. In other words, if you buy a core PRS, just like if you buy a Gibson Les Paul or a Fender Strat or whatever. Patrick just unsubscribed. Bye, Patrick. Anyways, bye, Patrick. Anyways, he says, the buying the more premium guitars in the long term sometimes have a bit better ability to kind of get your money back if you ever try to get rid of it in a couple years. However, in my experience, when you put a Piezo system in a guitar, it really hinders its resale value for some part. So what I'm just saying is just don't put that into the equation. I don't think we should talk about that. Me personally, those necks almost seem all the same necks, so we're all on the same page. In other words, they're all like pattern regulars. Or wide fats, probably pattern regulars. I like the SE hollow body 2. I think I've told you this. I like the SE. I got remember my gear math. And just so you know, my what's the saying? Put up or shut up. I didn't buy it. I lied. They sent me an SE Piezo guitar. I absolutely loved it. Did the gear math. If I love this, I'm gonna love a core more. I got a core. Sold the SE to get the core. That makes sense, right? Put that towards the core, got the core. I do not love the core as much as the SE. So I'm selling the core. I have a hollow body 2 that I'm selling. Now I have a hollow body 2 single cut as well. This is a core, but that is a unique guitar they don't make anymore. And there's something cool about that, but it still doesn't sound as good as the SEs. I talked to Jack Higginbotham at PRS, who runs SE. And I told him, I think I've told this story now a couple times, where I said, when I interviewed him off the interview. I don't think it's in the interview. I said, I said, what did I say? I said, why does the SE sound better? To me, it sounds better than the core. And he said, well, we learned a lot from the core and we implemented a lot of those things in this new guitar and it's really good. So I have to tell you, look, there's a lot of things to say negative about the SE hollow body too. Okay. Here are the negatives. It's $1,500 unless you got it on a deal. It's an expensive guitar for a basically made in China import instrument. It comes with a case, but the case is not very exciting. It's a very basic case. You can tell they cheaped out on the case a little bit. But those are the hangups. If you get past those, if that's not things that trigger you to go, I can't buy it, then everything else after that's a great thing. If you want a guitar that doesn't sound, in my opinion, as good on the Piezo side, you can get the core hollow body. But like I said, I'm going to end up selling mine anytime. So you can buy mine. You can always reach out to me and try to buy mine. So, but that's just something that's my take on your guitars you talked about. I hope that makes sense. I can always tell when we're approaching the second hour because all of a sudden I'm answering questions and I'm just like, I don't know. Buy it. Buy them all. You know what? Buy all of them. And then nothing will make you happier like more guitars. So why not buy all of them? Lazarus for the win is what I'm taking that FTW for. It says, have an HX Stomp and a Pod Go. Do I sell the Go? Do I sell and go? Have an HX Stomp and Pod Go. Do I sell and go Helix? I don't know what you're asking me. HX Stomp to me is amazing. Pod Go is pretty good, but no, sell the Pod Go. You don't need the Pod Go if you have the HX Stomp. It's great. Absolutely love that pedal. Mr. S, thank you for the super sticker. Turbo Mother 666. It's original. It says, I work at Guitar Center. What? Oh, he works at Guitar Center. Okay. So, hey, get me in, man. Get me hired. Tell him, he'll work for, like I said, I'll work for whatever. Whatever it is they feel, I'll work. I'd like to work just one weekend. That'd be great. But if I had to work there for a week or a couple weeks, I'd do that. Why not? It's like I said, what I would do it. I think it would be cool. I don't know why. I think I would come out the other end understanding more in a positive or negative way. Anyway, it says, what 15-inch guitar speaker is best? I have no idea. 15-inch. That's a question, man. Talk about that. I have, it's, if you're like me, 15-inch speaker. To me, the only 15 speakers I've ever heard for guitar were, of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan had a 15-inch speaker, right? I guess he had a 210 and a 15 or something like that, a 410 and a 210, some kind of hybrid guitar thing. I'm not even familiar with what it is. I just always heard yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan had a 15. Anytime you talk about a 15-inch speaker for guitar, because there's a lot of the older amps will have those too. Everyone always mentions Stevie Ray Vaughan. And so, and then for some reason, for a short time, I used to have the Randall, I don't even think they make it anymore. Randall used to make a 212 115 guitar cabinet. And I remember, is it Dan Donegan from Disturbed used to play one? And I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right, is Dan Donegan. I met him once and I had the 212 115 cab, which I used to laugh because it looked like Mickey Mouse's face, like in your grill because of the outlines. I stopped him. That's how I found out he wasn't a gear guy, or at least he didn't want to talk to a gear guy. I stopped him at the NAMM show. It was very nice. Don't you say no. I saw him play that night too, but I stopped him at the show and I said, hey, how's it go? I just want to let you know I'm a fan. He's like, cool. And I said, it was at the NAMM show. And I said, hey, I know you use those 212 115s. I have one. I really like it. What do you like about it? And he goes, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, and he goes, I guess. And then he goes, you could tell, he probably read my face, give this nerd some love. And he went and I like that you can feel it before you can hear it. And I said, nice. So to answer your question, I don't have a 15. A lot of you guys are probably putting stuff. I see Bill Brotherton. Thanks, man. He says a 15 in Altec 421A. So a lot of them have like the PV Delta Blues 115. Those are great. I've tried the PV Delta Blues with a 15 in it. But like I said, nothing's ever drawn me to that speaker, so I don't have a reference of it. I never disliked it. I just never. I kind of, like I said, I kind of like. And once I find a thing I love, like I said, I stick with it just over and over again. And just it's like I said, that's the whole the know your gear philosophy, the concept of like once I know it and I know how to use it in every situation, that's where I want to stay. So, um, Amanda, thank you, Amanda. She says, I just want to see Phil get Guitar Center Employee of the Month. Wouldn't it be funny they fired me? Maybe I'm not thinking this through. Guitar Center, that would be great. They'd be like, Phil made it a half a day and we fired him. I mean, if you guys remember, I took the Sweetwater sales engineers test and that was a brutal test. Like I passed like by nothing. Like I just barely passed. And they were like, yeah, you're hireable. I'm like, great. I have a YouTube channel, right? This is contingent on me supposed to know all this stuff. And I'm barely hireable at Sweetwater. Thanks. But you know what? No, that's great. That was why I loved it. It was a humbling experience. I would, it changed my entire perception and feeling of Sweetwater employees and what they go through as their 13-week training and stuff. Just as like wow, okay, all right, I get it. You have to know more stuff like about microphones and keyboards and drums and stuff. Maybe that's true. Guitar Center is, as far as I know, Guitar Center is still very department heavy. So in other words, like, if I went to work at a Guitar Center, I would assume they're going to put me in the accessories or the guitar department. I think I recall Guitar Center from friends that worked at Guitar Center that they start you at this. Everybody starts like accessories and then you move to the department that you're, destined to be in and stuff. But Patrick's like, I didn't unsubscribe from you, Phil. I know, man. Patrick, just so you know, I'm just playing games and talking stuff. That's why I was being sarcastic. I thought you were talking about how I say everybody was subscribed every week. It's fine. It's good. I hope don't read me that way. My friends always say it best. You'll know if I'm upset. There's no guessing with me. You'll just know. It's like I have that. I just go a different way and you can just tell like, okay, something just happened. Okay. All right. El Dunarino says, hopefully not clean bathrooms. I clean bathrooms. Like I said, I'm not like, so I know, I feel like I've been on this tirade too long. When I say I work at Guitar Center, I would work there. I don't mean like it's a fake work there. I'm not there to be like, we'll get some content and I'll say and you'll get some shots with me, some customers. Like, no, I'd work. I'd go and whatever it is that you do, right? I take out the trash. I do that stuff. I don't care. I'd work. Yeah, I don't shy away from work ever. It's that's if I had one attribute that I like about is that I won't usually shy away from work. So, no, because like I said, I would like to know. Just like I didn't like take a special version of anything, or same with Sweetwater. I didn't do anything special. They didn't treat me any specially there. I did everything that you would do. So Tampa Blue says Phil would be in the corner taking guitars apart like Sweetwater. Yeah. That they might want to ask me not to do at Guitar Center. Sweetwater doesn't seem to care. I kind of got the impression this year they're kind of expecting me to do it. If you can't tell from that statement, it looks like we're going to be at Sweetwater again. They're up to something, and we'll see. Okay, I think we did. So no more super chats because I think we knocked them all out. We knocked them all out. So let's just stay in the comment section and see what else you guys want to talk about before we go. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for this. So Amanda says, now we know what Phil's impression of a douchebag YouTuber is. I gotta tell you, I gotta tell you this funny thing. I'm gonna do two things. So we'll finish up the show this way. I'm gonna tell you this joke that I just it's horrible, and I love it. I heard it this week and it's great. It's what you call someone who's being a douchebag or a horrible person or a jerk or just difficult. Okay, I love it. I shared it with my with friends and family this week. So I'm gonna share with you guys. It's so how do you basically how you call someone out, say something, that they're a horrible person, without saying it to their, out blatantly. And it says, you can say, that person's being a real see you next Tuesday. So it takes a second. I'll say it one more time. The backhanded, kind of like the backhanded, it's not a compliment, but you don't understand. You're saying something horrible without saying it. So you can say, that person's being a real see you next Tuesday. So I love that for those that figured out. Please don't put it in the comments if you got it. I don't think that's fair. And one, it's not appropriate. But let me show you something real quick. We are going to end the show with this. Look at this. I got a guitar sent to me. I think I shared this with you before, but I wanted to share it with you. So you go next. Oh, if I don't hit the table with it, now it's on sale. This is now 10% off. No. This is the Danelectro 59. They sent this out. Steve at Danelectro sent this out. And it's got the new center pickup. And it's basically the same guitar they've always had. It's got the bolt-on design. And it's chambered. It's got the hardtail bridge. But with 3 pickups. So I'm assuming, 5-way selector, volume and tone in this red. So I thought that was cool. I thought I'd share this with you. They sent this out. Really, really cool. I'm trying to think. Next Friday. So we have some. Danelectro is owned by the same people. Steve, who owns Danelectro, owns Snark. They sent some Snarks to give away. We were giving some away. We had stopped, and that's why I want to share this. They sent this as like a thank you for doing that, because they know that they provided the tuners, but we've been paying the shipping, and the shipping has been interesting. It's been, sometimes it's $10 and sometimes it's 20. But because, as my wife explained to everybody who gets one, because it's my wife is very hardcore about rules. Like my wife has one way of doing things, right? Like she doesn't like, if it says stay off the grass, my wife stays off the grass. My wife always does like exactly what you're supposed to do. So the post office says they don't let you ship anything that you with a lithium battery. You got to take it out. The rechargeable Snarks, the battery's built in, you can't take it out. So my wife won't ship it through the post office because of that sign in the post office, because that's what she does, what they, the right thing, what they tell her. So she's been shipping them, I guess, FedEx and UPS, which is just costing us a fortune, right? So that's good. I appreciate, look, trust me, that's the thing I love about her. She does the right thing, right? Like she's meticulous, like this is the right way to do it. We're going to do it this way. But my point is, so that's why I was shipping the tuners. So they shipped the guitar out, so me to check it out, you guys to see it. That was really cool. And explain why we haven't been giving away tuners. My wife's been out of town for the last 2 weeks. She'll still be out of town for another week, and for a family emergency. So she's been out of town for a family emergency. So long story short, there's no one to ship the tuners, so I haven't been talking about them. Next Friday, we'll be giving away tuners. So just so you know, we're back on that track. I asked her if we could do it today. She said, sure, if you ship them out, because she's literally dealing with stuff in a different state. So I'm like, great, then we'll do it next Friday. I'm laughing. I'm laughing at how horrible of a person I am. Because I just told you guys something. If you didn't realize what I just said, I feel horrible that I said that, but it's truth, which is you could have had tuners today if I would just ship them for you. But instead I'm like, all right, so you'll do it. If I do it next week, then I'll do it next week. But next week there'll be tuners to give away again. So we'll be back on that track again as well. So there you go. So I'm just giving you an update. Plus, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the Danelectro. It's really cool. Like I said, a really cool idea to put the middle pickup in there. So really cool. So thank you guys. See you next. I love that. Like I said. All right. So should we call it? Let's call the show. We'll call it now so we can start our weekend. It's time for the weekend. So on that note, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. I hope you guys learned something, had some fun, something happened. I hope something happened. I have something very exciting to show you guys, and I'm going to tease you right now, and I'm in the show with a teaser. super teaser. Ready? Today, which I can't show you guys yet. Today, I received a custom Heritage Les Paul. For those of you know you guys know Heritage has been something I've been talking about for a long time, and very, very. I'm going to end this with a story. This is a story I actually told a couple weeks ago, but I was being more vague about it. Just want to let you know the diehards always hang out to the end. I'm here to share. Even the replays, the diehards hang out to the end, so no one will see this. I talked about Heritage. Somebody asked me on the show. Thank you for that, by the way. A couple months ago, why I don't own a Heritage, and I just told you guys the truth as I pride myself on doing. I said I worked with Heritage. I tried to buy one. They really wouldn't sell me one, right? I told the whole story about how I was at the NAMM show. I said I wanted the one that was there. They said they couldn't sell me the ones that were there. They said they could build one for me. I said I really need it to be, the way I like it. And, because I don't want to just buy a guitar. I want to buy a guitar I want. And I talked about that story, and Heritage reached out. They saw it on the podcast. They immediately reached out, and Carol D's like, I hope it's only 7 pounds. You're gonna love this. So they reached out, and Heritage did what all companies do with YouTubers, and this is why I want to give them their accolades. They go, hey, we saw what you said. We'd like to give you a guitar. And I said, can we get on a call? We got on a Zoom call. I talked to Heritage, and I said, as I always say, that's not the fix. Like, I don't need a guitar. I have guitars. Look, I appreciate it. Everyone should be so lucky that a company wants to send them a guitar. However, I don't want to just be like, you sent me a free guitar, so now I like your guitars. I go, I don't know what that is. I don't know how to explain that. And I said, in the deep down, the audience is not dumb. They're going to tell when I'm like, this is great. They sent it to me. And then I'm like, I sold it. It's gone. Right? Like, it's like, guitars, like I told you, the channel has become tenured over the years. I said, if you want to get a guitar on the channel, fine. Send me one. I'll do a deep dive. That'd be great. Everybody will love seeing a Heritage on the channel. Let's do it. I said, but if you want to actually get me to do what I need to do, which is play a Heritage and not a Gibson, and get rid of the Gibson and play this Heritage, this is what I would need. I would need you to seriously build this guitar for me, this specific guitar. And I'm probably not supposed to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. And they go, well, that's crazy. You said that. They go, I can't. I'll say it. They go, Tim Pierce said the same thing as you, that he wants, like, he doesn't need a guitar. He's Tim Pierce, and he didn't say he's Tim Pierce, by the way. They said he's Tim Pierce. They said he's got the guitars he needs or wants. And they said, yeah, and he actually wants the same kind of guitar as you. And I go, really? Not just the style, but the specifications. And so painstakingly, we did it. And it's here, but I can't open the box because it's not sitting for 24 hours yet. So I just want to let you guys know that video is coming, but more importantly, I'll be sharing that experience with you in Heritage, and we're gonna see, because ultimately, here's what's on the table. Ready? This is as honest as it gets. I'm not interested in having an expensive Heritage or an expensive Les Paul. I don't need 2 Les Paul guitars. So I told him, I said, this is what we're gonna do. So hopefully it's good. If it's right, and it's what I hope it is, I'm going to ditch my Gibson and I'll just play the Heritage, and that's what I'll have. And if it's not, I'll do the deep dive. I'll explain what it is I like and maybe what I don't like about the Heritage, and we'll send it back, and I'll keep my Gibson. Either way, we win. Y'all get a video. I get to experience something. And what we're going to see, if what they did will actually make me want to literally. Joe says Tim Pierce is in the box. Well, I hope not. If he is, I should let him out. I feel bad now. All right. So I thought I'd share that with you. I'm just so excited about it, so I wanted to share it. As always, I thank you guys for hanging out. You guys have a great weekend. Play some guitar. Maybe learn an Aha song. And until next Friday, know your gear. If I know how to get to the screen, I do. That ends the show. All right. Bye, guys.